In the heart of a frozen world where wind howled like forgotten spirits, Hyun-woo stood among creatures most would consider impossible. Around him, massive bears moved with an intelligence that defied natural law. These were not ordinary animals, but engineered warriors waiting to prove their worth. Hyun had been cast out from the Galactic Confederation, his strategic brilliance deemed too dangerous, too unconventional. They had exiled him, believing they had silenced a threat. Instead, they had given him something far more powerful: freedom and purpose. The Arctic landscape stretched endlessly, a white canvas of potential. Jagged ice formations and snow-covered rocks formed natural training grounds. Here, far from civilization, Hyun had found his true army. Genetically enhanced bears, each standing nearly 3 meters tall, moved with a discipline that would make military academies weep. Kang, the eldest of the bear warriors, watched Hyun with eyes that held more intelligence than most human commanders. Technological implants glimmered beneath thick fur, sophisticated, systems integrated seamlessly into natural muscle and bone. These were not simple creatures, but living weapons. "Formation Delta," Hyun called out, his voice crisp and commanding. Instantly the bears shifted. Their massive bodies moved with precision, each step calculated, each movement purposeful. Technological armor plates adjusted automatically, responding to environmental conditions and potential threat scenarios. Weapon systems were unlike anything the Galactic Confederation had ever seen. Instead of traditional energy weapons, these bears utilized hybrid technology that combined biological adaptability with advanced mechanical engineering. Shoulder-mounted plasma cannons could be activated with a mere muscle twitch. Arm-mounted energy shields could materialize in milliseconds. Hyun walked among them, reviewing their training simulations. Each bear had been carefully selected and enhanced. Their genetic code had been rewritten, not just for physical strength but for strategic thinking. They could process complex tactical information faster than most military supercomputers. The bears had original Earth bloodlines, descendants of polar bears, Kodiak bears, and other apex predators. But they were far more than their ancestors. Cybernetic enhancements, neural network integrations, and advanced training had transformed them into something entirely new. Every day brought new training. Combat simulations that would break ordinary soldiers ran like routine exercises here. Mountain climbing with full combat gear, underwater navigation through frozen channels, zero-gravity combat training. Nothing was impossible. Kang approached Hyun, a holographic display projecting from his left eye implant. Communication was beyond verbal. It was a complex dance of technological and biological signals. They were planning more than just a military operation. They were preparing a revolution. The Galactic Confederation had made a critical mistake. They believed exile meant elimination. They thought cutting off Hyun would end his threat. Instead, they had given him time. Time to build. Time to prepare. Time to create an army that would redefine the meaning of warfare. As darkness fell across the frozen landscape, the bears continued their training. Plasma weapons charged, armor systems ran diagnostic checks, tactical networks hummed with potential. Each bear knew their purpose. Each bear understood the mission: revenge, redemption, revolution. Hyun watched the training, a slight smile crossing his face. The Galactic Confederation would soon learn a painful lesson. They had not destroyed him. They had merely provided the catalyst for something far greater. The Wilderness Forge was heating up, and soon, the galaxy would feel its burn. In the distance, aurora lights danced across the sky, nature's own display of power and unpredictability. Much like the army being prepared in this forgotten corner of the universe. The reconnaissance fleet approached with arrogant confidence, their commanders laughing at intercepted reports about a human bear military preparation. Their massive ships cut through the star-filled darkness, sensors scanning the seemingly empty regions of space where Hyun-woo had been exiled. Aboard the lead vessel, Captain Min-ho reviewed the mission briefing with casual disinterest. The Galactic Confederation considered this a routine patrol, a simple check on a disgraced strategist's supposed threat. His fingers tapped lazily against the holographic display, showing no real concern. Kang watched from a hidden base station, his cybernetic eye tracking every movement of the approaching vessels. Technological camouflage systems made their position invisible, a ghost waiting to strike. The bears had been preparing for this moment, each system calibrated with surgical precision. Target acquired. Kang's communication implant buzzed silently. To Hyunwoo, the first ship never saw it coming. A silent pulse of energy disabled its primary systems in milliseconds. No warning, no alarm, just sudden, complete shutdown. The second ship attempted to respond, but its communication systems were already jammed by sophisticated bear-developed technology. Within moments, 6 advanced scout ships became floating debris. Their sophisticated sensors had detected nothing, a fatal oversight that would change the course of galactic history. Hyunwoo watched the tactical display from his remote command center. Each destroyed ship represented more than just a military victory. It was a message, a declaration of intent. The Galactic Confederation had underestimated him, and now they would pay the price. Back on the primary galactic command station, chaos erupted. Communication networks buzzed with confusion. How could 6 advanced reconnaissance ships simply vanish? No distress signals, no survivors, just silent destruction. Captain Minho's datapad flickered with emergency alerts. His earlier casual attitude transformed into pure panic. Something was very wrong. The empty space where the ships should have been told a story of complete, calculated elimination. Kang's bear units remained perfectly still, waiting for potential counterattacks. Their enhanced bodies could remain motionless for hours, technological systems running constant diagnostics. They were living weapons, each moment a potential strike. Hyun understood psychological warfare. This wasn't just about destroying ships. This was about sending a message that would ripple through the entire Galactic Confederation. They were no longer dealing with a simple exile. They were facing a strategic nightmare. The bears had been trained for this moment. Years of preparation, genetic enhancement, technological integration, all converging into this single, perfect strike. No wasted movement, no unnecessary destruction. Just precise, calculated elimination. Communication channels across multiple star systems began to light up. Confusion, fear, speculation. The Galactic Confederation's carefully maintained image of total control was cracking. Hyun allowed himself a small smile. The first move had been made, and it was perfect. In the cold darkness of space, the destroyed ships continued to drift. Silent witnesses to a new kind of warfare. A warfare that combined human strategic thinking with bear-like ferocity and technological superiority. The message was clear. Underestimation would come with a cost. And Hyunwoo was just getting started. Kang's communication implant pinged. "Prepare next phase," came Hyun's simple instruction. The bears moved into position, technological systems humming with potential. Each moment brought them closer to complete revolution. Each destroyed ship was another step towards their ultimate goal. The Galactic Confederation thought they had seen warfare. They had no idea what was coming. The Galactic Outer Rim stronghold stood as a symbol of military might. Its massive defensive systems considered impenetrable, hundreds of weapon platforms, advanced shield generators, and thousands of trained soldiers protected its perimeter. No one had ever successfully breached its defenses. Hyunwoo knew this would change today. Kang's bear units approached silently, their massive bodies moving with impossible stealth. Each bear wore advanced technological armor that absorbed and redirected electromagnetic signals. To standard sensors, they were invisible, ghosts moving through the complex terrain. Min Ki, the tactical communications specialist, began jamming enemy frequencies. Sophisticated signal disruption technology created holes in their defensive networks, like invisible cuts in an electronic fabric. Communication between defense platforms became fragmented, confused. The first wave of attack came unexpectedly. Not with massive explosions or traditional weaponry, but with precision strikes that targeted critical infrastructure. Cooling systems failed. Backup generators experienced sudden power surges. Communication relays went dark. Massive bears moved like liquid shadows. Their cybernetic enhancements allowed them to process tactical information faster than human reaction times. Where a normal soldier would hesitate, they struck with calculated precision. Plasma cannons mounted on bear shoulders fired synchronized energy pulses. Each shot calculated to maximum efficiency, destroying specific systems without unnecessary collateral damage. They weren't just fighting, they were performing surgical destruction. Defense commanders watched in horror as their most secure installations collapsed from within. No alarms, no traditional combat signals, just systematic, intelligent elimination. 1. Bear unit, led by a warrior named Jay, breached the central command center. Technological implants allowed direct interface with enemy computer systems. They didn't just destroy, they extracted critical information, turning the stronghold's own systems against itself. Hyun observed from a remote command center, each movement perfectly choreographed. Years of preparation had led to this moment. The bears weren't just soldiers. They were living weapons systems with human-level strategic understanding. Shield generators began failing. Weapon platforms went offline. The supposedly impenetrable stronghold became a tomb of technological failure. And not a single traditional combat alarm had been triggered. Galactic military analysts would later describe it as a ghost invasion, an attack so precise, so intelligent that it redefined modern warfare concepts. No massive explosions, no prolonged battles, just swift, calculated elimination. As quickly as the attack began, it ended. Within 30 minutes, the entire Outer Rim stronghold had been neutralized. No bear units had been lost. No unnecessary damage had been created. A single message was broadcast across galactic communication networks. Simple, direct, chilling. Underestimation has consequences. The message was signed simply with coordinates, the location of Hyunwoo's base, a direct challenge, a statement of intent. Back in the Central Galactic Command, leaders stared in shocked silence. Their most secure installation had fallen without a traditional shot being fired. The rules of warfare had changed overnight. Kang looked at Hyun, waiting for the next instruction. The bear's cybernetic eye reflected nothing but pure, calculated readiness. They were far beyond being simple animals. They were a revolution, waiting to be unleashed. Hyun knew this was just the beginning. The Galactic Confederation would respond. They would try to retaliate, but they had no idea what was coming. The first engagement was complete, and it was perfect. The galaxy erupted into chaos. Battles raged across multiple star systems, each engagement revealing a new layer of strategic brilliance that defied traditional military understanding. Hyunwoo's warbears had transformed from a rumored threat into a devastating reality. Jae Sung, the primary Galactic Council leader, watched in horror as their most secure installations fell one by one. The bears were not just fighting, they were dismantling entire military infrastructures with surgical precision. No traditional army could match their combination of biological strength and technological sophistication. Bear units moved like liquid metal across different planetary terrains. Desert worlds, frozen moons, asteroid fields. Each environment became their perfect battlefield. Their genetic enhancements allowed them to adapt faster than any known species. Where human soldiers would struggle, they thrived. Kang led the most advanced unit, his cybernetic systems processing tactical information at speeds that made supercomputers look primitive. Each bear was more than a soldier. They were living weapon systems with neural networks that could predict enemy movements before they happened. The Galactic Confederation's military doctrine crumbled. Their massive battleships became obsolete. Traditional weapon systems were neutralized before they could even be deployed. The bears didn't just fight. They dismantled entire defense networks with mathematical precision, plasma weapons that could slice through metal like paper, stealth technologies that made them invisible to most scanning systems, neural communication networks that allowed instantaneous tactical coordination. Each bear unit operated like a single intelligent organism. Planetary defenses fell within hours. Entire star system control centers were disabled without firing a single traditional shot. The Bears understood something the Galactic Confederation had forgotten. War was no longer about brute force, but intelligent adaptation. Min-Ki's communication systems continued to play a critical role. Advanced jamming technologies created electronic warfare zones where enemy communication became impossible. They weren't just fighting. They were controlling the entire electromagnetic battlefield. Hyun-woo watched from his command center, each movement calculated with chess-like precision. The Bears were an extension of his strategic mind. Biological weapons enhanced with human intelligence and technological superiority. Some battles lasted minutes. Others became prolonged strategic operations that demonstrated the Bears' ability to think beyond simple combat. They would disable critical infrastructure, redirect resources, create tactical confusion that paralyzed entire military responses. The psychological impact was devastating. Galactic soldiers began to lose hope. Reports spread of an unstoppable force that could predict and neutralize any defensive strategy. Fear became their most powerful weapon. Kang's unit discovered something even more interesting. They could hack and control enemy technological systems. Battleships turned against their own fleets. Defense platforms became instruments of destruction against their creators. Jae-sung realized too late that this was more than a war. This was a complete restructuring of galactic power dynamics. Humanity, through these enhanced bears, was rewriting the rules of engagement. Each bear carried the genetic memory of Earth's most apex predators. Polar bear survival instincts, Kodiak bear strength, combined with technological enhancements that turned them into living supercomputers. They were evolution made manifest. The war wasn't just about military victory. It was about sending a message. Humanity would no longer be marginalized, no longer be considered a secondary species in the galactic hierarchy. Planetary governments began to fall. Communication networks collapsed. The carefully maintained structure of galactic civilization crumbled under the precise, calculated attacks of Hyun-woo's bear units. As total war consumed multiple star systems, one thing became clear. Nothing would be the same again. The Bears had arrived, and they were here to stay. The Galactic Council chamber stood silent. Hyun-woo walked in, surrounded by his most elite bear warriors. No weapons were drawn, but the threat was unmistakable. Years of preparation had led to this moment. Jae-sung, the council's primary leader, looked smaller than ever. His once powerful body seemed to shrink under the intense gaze of the bear warriors. Their cybernetic implants gleamed, a silent reminder of technological superiority. "You have two choices," Hyun said simply. His voice was calm, calculated. Each word carried the weight of multiple destroyed star systems. Complete restructuring of galactic governance or total elimination. Kang stood directly behind Hyun, a mountain of fur and technological enhancement. His mere presence spoke volumes. The bears were no longer animals. They were a civilization unto themselves. The council members exchanged terrified glances. Months of total war had demonstrated the bears' capabilities. Entire military systems had been dismantled. Planetary defenses had fallen like paper structures. They were completely outmatched. Hyun's proposal was simple. Humanity would no longer be a marginalized species. They would have equal representation, full technological exchange, complete political integration. The alternative was complete destruction. Min-Ki stood at the communication console, ready to activate devastating technological systems at a moment's notice. Each bear warrior could interface directly with the council's primary systems. One command could mean total annihilation. Historical records would later call this the most important negotiation in galactic history. No shots were fired. No traditional weapons were used. Just pure, calculated strategic pressure. The bears represented something more than a military force. They were evolution made manifest. Biological enhancement. Technological integration. Strategic thinking that defied traditional understanding. Jae-sung's hands trembled. He understood the true meaning of this moment. This wasn't just a negotiation. This was a complete restructuring of galactic power dynamics. "We accept," he whispered. Hyun allowed himself a small smile. The revolution was complete. The bears had transformed from exiled creatures to the most powerful force in the galaxy. Their genetic heritage combined with technological enhancement had created something entirely new. Not just soldiers, not just a species, but a civilization reborn. Kang's cybernetic eyes scanned the room. Calculation, precision, total understanding. They had won more than a war. They had won a future. As the negotiation concluded, one thing became clear. The galaxy would never be the same again. Humanity had returned, and they had brought war bears.